Happy Monday, everybody. All right, I'm going to pick up where I left off last week. And if you remember last week, I started this series on the Genius Act, which is it's all about stable coins and cryptocurrency. And just to recap, what I talked about last week is that the Genius Act is actually very similar to the National Banking Act of 1863, where issuers of this new currency, back then they were banknotes, now it's these stable coins, they can issue them, but they have to be backed 1-to-1 with US treasuries, which creates a captive market for US debt. Back in 1863, the government used it to fund the Civil War, helping the federal government beat the South, the North beat the South. Today, we have another debt problem, but it's not caused by war. It's caused by an addiction to spending and uncontrolled spending. So now let's pick up where we left off. We're concerned about this Genius Act, and part of the concern is that it's just seemed it's not making headlines. The big beautiful bill made headlines. The wars are making headlines. The documents that are being released from the FBI are making headlines. The Genius Act is a big deal. This has to do with our United States currency, and yet it's just not making headlines. But in Greg and my world, and in you, the viewers' world, this could potentially affect many areas of your life. So, okay, here's how it's being sold as a good thing, is that there's this new technology called blockchain, and there are cryptocurrencies that have been built through blockchain. Now, it's a whole market that you can buy and sell with these cryptocurrencies, but that leaves the US dollar on the sidelines. Well, the US government, they're saying that they're trying to legitimize cryptocurrencies, and they're doing so with this stable coin. And a stable coin is a cryptocurrency that a bank could issue that has to be backed by US Treasury. So 1-to-1. So if you exchange $1 of stable coin, it's backed by $1 of US Treasury debt. So it's backed 100%, which will make it a more stable currency. That would be appealing to the general population. Why would you go and spend Bitcoin at Starbucks for a coffee when by doing so you might lose a fortune the next day when it shoots up, or it could crash? The volatility in these cryptocurrencies is drastic. Well, this Genius Act, they're saying it'll stabilize, people can buy and sell, and that really is kind of the genius here, is that it's kind of a bait and switch. There's a potential where this could really take off, and the utility of it, the usefulness, Walmart could issue their own stable coin. Walmart would then be a massive owner of US debt, and then you could buy and sell, or sorry, buy your groceries through your stable coin issued by Walmart. You could get your tax refunds done. Okay, so that's how they're selling it. Here's one of the problems. There's a potential transfer of wealth here with the big corporations and the little guy. So the big corporations will then issue the stable coins. They're going to be regulated by the federal government, and they have to buy US debt, right? That means the big banks or corporations are now earning interest from the United States government. The Genius Act says they cannot pay interest with these stable coins. So you'll be giving your money to a corporation, not earning interest on it. They take that money, earn interest from the US debt, transfer of wealth. That's not how what our goal is, for our clients to make money on their money, right? Okay, another issue is, there's been on the kind of everybody's radar a central bank digital currency. And now that has now been pushed aside. Oh, don't worry, we're not going to have one. Well, this could kind of become one in a roundabout way. A central bank digital currency would be a digital currency just like this, that's issued directly from the US Treasury, the central bank. Well, This isn't that. However, these corporations will be able to track everything that you're buying and selling. Now, they can already do that with your debit card and credit card transactions, but now it's going to be regulated by the federal government, and the tracking is real time and crystal clear. And you can't erase it. So you've got that, but then here's the other thing. The federal government can control the issuers of that debt. And here's some language from the actual Genius Act. And this is some of the concerning language that caught my attention. So the language says issuers of the stablecoins must be able to, quote, seize, freeze, burn, or otherwise prevent the transfer of stablecoins pursuant to court orders, of course, or regulatory directives, of course. Well, who's the court making these orders? What are the regulatory directives? The issuers have to be able to seize, freeze, burn, or destroy an individual's stablecoin. Now, I suppose a government would have to do this to prevent terrorists from getting this currency and doing that. But the danger is that they can do it anywhere. Okay. So the lack of financial freedom is there. And then for us, we want to help protect and preserve our clients' wealth. These are two instances where that wouldn't necessarily be the case. Okay, so I'm gonna stop there. Meantime, though, I do want to say one of the reasons why Greg and I like hard assets right now is because they're boring. You don't have to read, these congressional acts to understand them. And based on Greg's video with gold, it doesn't do anything. It just collects dust, which is what makes it valuable, and it's boring until it's not. So, all right, with that, I'm going to bid you farewell. Have a great week. Appreciate you liking this video, and see you next week. Bye-bye.